Welcome to my home lab. In this new video, we're going to set up Nginx Proxy Manager with Docker. We start the video on the Docker Hub website. Today we install the GC21 Nginx Proxy Manager. If you go to tags, you see here we have the latest. This one we're going to install. You have also the Nginx Proxy Manager website. If you go to get started, you see we have a simple example, but we're going to use a database. We see that in a minute. We have also the GitHub page with the same information. Next to the Nginx Proxy Manager, we're going to install GC21 MariaDB. Again, we used the latest. See it here. Again, we have a GitHub account with some information about the database. We open Visual Studio Code, go to Remote Connection, grant window to host, Fedora server, it's loading, et voilà. We open Explorer, open folder, go to, in my case, Programming, Docker, OK. It's loading, yes. You see, we have a couple of directories. Joomla, MySQL, and WordPress are from previous videos. Today, we use Nginx Proxy Manager. I open it, and I have prepared a Docker Compose file. I'm going to open it, see it. We have services, then the name Nginx Proxy Manager, the container name, again, Nginx Proxy Manager, depends on DB, depends on this one. So that means first we have to run the database and then we run Nginx Proxy Manager. Here you see the image, you see GC21 Nginx Proxy Manager latest. Restart unless stopped. The ports, use port 80. 443 and 81 for the web interface. We're going to see that later. Then we have a couple of environment variables, time zone, in my case Brussels. We disable IPv6 because we don't use that. You see here the database, the host, DB. So DB means this one, the name of the app. The port 336, that's standard. Then the user, Nginx. You see that here also, user Nginx. This one and this one have to be the same. The database password. I use password because it's only for YouTube, so it's not a production. You're going to see that here also. Database password. And the database name, Nginx Proxy Manager, also here the same. Then we have two volumes, data to data, and let's encrypt to /etc/let's encrypt. The last is networks. It's a bridge network, Nginx Proxy Manager. You see that down here, we use the Nginx Proxy Manager network. The next is the database service, again, name MariaDB, image GC21 MariaDB area latest, the root password, because it's only for showing, database name, see here, this one and this one have to be the same, the user, Nginx, again, here, and the password, again, here and here has to be the same. Password here and the root password can be different. only this one and this one has to be the same, because Nginx Proxy Manager have to communicate with the database. Then we have the volume /mysql to/var/lib/mysql. So again, this one is inside the container. This one gonna be here. Gonna see that if we run that, we're gonna have a couple of directories under Nginx Proxy Manager. And again, networks, again, Nginx Proxy Manager. This one and this one has to be the same, because the Nginx Proxy Manager have to be communicate with the database. They have to be on the same network. Now we open the terminal, new terminal. You see we are automatically in Docker in this one, this directory. So we have to go to Nginx Proxy Manager. So we do ls, see all the directories. I do cd Nginx directory, we go inside it, ls, and we have a Docker compose. See Docker compose.yaml. Now we do Docker compose up or running in detached mode. Detached mode means after the terminal gonna close and we have no logs. If we leave the D out, the terminal gonna stay open and we have logs. Sometimes in debug mode, it's sometimes good to remove the D. So we enter. First, we're downloading the database and downloading Nginx Proxy Manager. That can take a minute, so I'm going to speed up the video and come back when everything is ready. Everything is downloaded. Now we create the containers. So first, create the MariaDB container. Next, create the Nginx Proxy Manager. In the meantime, you see we have here some folders, the data, the Let's Encrypt, and the MySQL. See that here? Data, it's the first part, Let's Encrypt, and MySQL. Then we create the network and run the containers. Start first MariaDB, because here we have depends on DB. So first we start this one, and then we start Nginx Proxy Manager. Everything seems to be okay. So we can go to our browser and look to the result. So we go back to our browser, open a new tab, the IP address from our Fedora server. First, we look at port 80, so the standard port. You see, Nginx Proxy Manager is successfully started. But you see here, log into the admin panel to get started. We go back to Visual Studio Code, and we see here the admin port is port 81. So inside port 81 and outside. So back to the browser. We change here the port to 81. Enter. And you can see we are at the login screen. The first thing we need to do is to create an admin account. Start with our full name. The email address and the password. Save it. And voila, we are inside. Now we can create hosts, we can create certificates, we have the users, just created our administrator user. We have also some settings. That's for the page we see on port 80. See, when you have an error, you have a configuration page. Configuration page is this one, IP address, without the port. That's this page. The next part is to create a domain name. I do it a free one on DuckDNS. I opened the DuckDNS website, logged in with my Gmail account. We need to complete the reCAPTCHA. And now we can create a subdomain. Website, paste it in. See, test for my home lab. Gonna be .duckdns.org. Add domain. You see, I hide my public address, but our test for my home lab subdomain is created. Also important here is the token from DuckDNS. We're going to need that in a minute in Nginx Proxy Manager. Don't worry about the safety. After the video is finished, I remove the account and the token is no more valid. Well, the subdomain will also be removed. I used it already in the previous video. Now we can go back to our Nginx Proxy Manager admin website and continue the setup. Also want to show you, you have 5 free subdomains for one account. See, I use 1 from 5. The next step is to create an SSL Let's Encrypt Certificates. We open the tab, add certificates. Let's encrypt via DNS. Select the provider or start with the domain. So I paste in the test for my home lab .duckdns.org domain and a wildcard. So we put a star and a dot at front of the domain name. Select the provider. So it's DuckDNS. DuckDNS here. See it? Now we have to put the token. I saved the token in FlatBlock. So I copy it and paste it in. Okay. The propagation seconds, it's good to try 120. Now we can save it and create a Let's Encrypt token. That's going to take a moment. I'm going to speed up the video. It's also possible we have an error. The thing we have to do is repeat the process. So we save and you see it's running. I come back when everything is okay or if we have an error. See, we have an error. That means Let's Encrypt is busy. The only thing we can do is try it again. Or maybe we give the propagation seconds something more. Let's say 240, that means 4 minutes. Save it again, and I come back when again we have an error or we are successful. After wait a little bit, we have our certificate. You see we have two, one for the normal domain and one for all the wildcards. So everything for the star is valid for this certificates. You see it's from Let's Encrypt DuckDNS. It's valid from today until February 16. And we not yet used it. See it here. Now we can create some hosts and use the certificate. We open a new tab and go to HTTPS. Open the IP address from our server. Port 9443. That's the site from Portainer. You open it and you see we can log in. Do that. Admin. Password. And voila, we are inside. So this website we're going to configure with Nginx Proxy Manager. So it's safe with a Let's Encrypt certificate. So you see here the IP address and port 9443 and it's HTTPS. We open Nginx Proxy Manager, go to hosts, proxy host, add proxy host. Open it. First, we start typing the domain. So we do Portainer dot and the domain name we created from DuckDNS. Okay. We use, in this case, HTTPS, the domain name from our Fedora server, port 9443. You see that it's accessible from everywhere. Block common exploits, okay. Custom locations is not needed, but we have to use our SSL certificate. You see it here, the certificate we created in this video. We selected Force SSL and HTTP 2 support. Save it. And voila, we have created our first host. If we select it, you see it's opened. We use Portainer dot and the domain name from DuckDNS, and it's safe. Certificate is valid. See it here, and it's the certificate from Let's Encrypt, available until February next year. In the next step, we're going to add 3 of our WordPress websites from a previous video. In a previous video, I created 3 WordPress websites with 1 MySQL database and a PHP MyAdmin site. See here the 3 websites. We have WordPress 1, WordPress 2 and WordPress 3. So we're going to create 4 hosts for these 3 websites and the PHP MyAdmin. I move it away. Go back to Nginx Proxy Manager and create add proxy host. Click on it. The same, the domain. So first we create PHP myadmin. I copy the domain name, PHP myadmin dot the domain from DuckDNS. Add. It's HTTP this time. The IP address from our Fedora server and port 8080. Publicly accessible, yes. Block common exploits on. Go to custom locations we don't need. Go to SSL. Create or use the wildcard certificate. Force SSL and HTTP2 support. Save it. Et voilà. We have one extra host. Create another one. I copy the name for the WordPress 1 site. So WordPress 1.test4myhomelab.duckdns.org. Select it. Again, it's HTTP. The IP address from our server, the port, in this case is 8081. Again, publicly accessible. Block common exploit. SSL. Use the same certificate. Force SSL and HTTP2 support. Again, save it. So we have another one. Add proxy. I copy the domain and change it to WordPress 2. Select it. Again, HTTP. IP address from the server. The port is this time 882. Again, publicly accessible. Block common exploits. SSL. Use certificate we created. Force SSL. HTTP support. Save it. And the last. Again, copy the domain and change it to WordPress 3. Select it. HTTP. IP address from our Fedora server. Port 883. Publicly accessible. Common exploits. SSL. Select certificate. Force SSL and HTTP2 support. Save it. And voila, we have our 4 new sites. Now we click on it. Et voila, we can log in, root, password. That's from a previous video. Log in, and you see we have the 3 databases and a secure connection. Again, I can show you. Secured, valid, see, a wildcard domain name, let's encrypt, and valid until February next year. We go back to Nginx Proxy Manager and click on our first WordPress website. See, take a moment, et voilà. A secure connection with a domain name and the website. The same for 2. Again, WordPress 2, a secure connection, and for 3. Little bit waiting. Et voilà. Everything is working fine. So we have 5 subdomains with let's encrypt secure connection. So that is the end of this video. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and give a thumbs up. Thank you very much and see you later.